Back here at Calder Park Raceway, and I feel a grand final coming on. So too does Paul Morris, Cameron McLean in the second of the Volvo S40s. And there is the man, Jim Richards, poised to try and take the title away from heir apparent Paul Morris. Let's check out the lineup for you today. Jimmy Richards and Paul Morris, as you would expect, share the front row together. Row 2 made up of Brad Jones in the Audi and Cameron McLean, the second of the Volvos. Row number 3 now, Peter Hills in the Signature Security Mondeo and Matthew Coleman, car number 2, the second Audi. Row number 4 on the inside, Dean Canto, the second of the Mondeos, and John Henderson alongside in the Opel Vectra. Row number 5 inside, Anthony Robson in car number 5 and David Auger of Queensland in the Alpha, number 45. Row 6, Luke Searle on the inside in car number 30 and Aaron McGill, the Trinovan Mondeo, on the outside of him. And Milton Leslie all on his own, some in row number 7. So that is the lineup, as you would expect. Jimmy Richards, Paul Morris, head-to-head. This is the grand final of the BOC Gases Super Touring Championship of Australia. They're racing, green flag on as Morris won the start. You betcha! He gets up on the inside and goes charging down the inside here to try and pull into the right-hand lane, and he's done that. I can't believe the start out.
No, he's done extremely well 3 times in a row today, Mike. Absolutely superb. Rev limiters blazing there. You saw the backfire coming out of the tailpipe of that little BMW, and Paul Morris away to a good start here in the final.
Now, Jimmy Richards back in the pack a little. Peter Hills there in 5th. Little touch on the way through there. So Jim, apart from not getting his usual brilliant start, has got an appalling start. He's got a bit of work to do in this.
He's got a lot of work, Mike, and remember, he has to win this race. He has to win all 3 races to take the championship.
That's absolutely true. At the end of the back straight, Morris is the leader. Brad Jones up in a second. Jimmy Richards is 3rd. Here he goes. Car number 3.
Car's still looking good. He's got it under control, but he doesn't want to see the BMW stretching away into the sunset.
You're right. Cameron McLean is 1 spot in arrears, then the 2 Signature Security Mondeos, and Matthew Coleman, I think, a spot back behind them as they work the front straight. Here's confirmation of placings as they start lap 2. Morris, Jones, Richards, McLean, Hills and Canto. That's the order as Brad Jones comes up on the tail of Paul Morris. I don't really think Morris needs to be harried here, but have a look at a replay here off the start. We take Paul Morris's car. Look at him and he says, bye! Catch you later.
Absolutely leaps off the start line. It's just superb start.
BMW technology, 3.5 years old, rear-wheel drive car, but a new 150 grand engine in from the factory for this weekend. Now from Peter Hill's car, he qualified 5th.
Yeah, no, he's always started well all season, and look at this, he's going to pass Jim Richards. He takes to the grass one side of the car. That's a little bit dicey. Richards gives him a little bit of room, and now down to the bottom corner. He's in a very good spot to take the right-hander here. Let's just see whether under brakes Jim can nail him.
Now from Matthew Coleman, he qualified 6th out of the 3rd row. Pick your spot, he said. I might have a shot here at the inside. No, that's covered. What about the middle? No, that's covered. What about the outside? I'll give that a eye as well.
What about just staying where I am and waiting for the rest of these fellas to sort themselves out?
He says 4 wide into the first turn, and it's a turn built for 1. Something must happen, so I'll sit back here and give Dean Canto a help into the turn.
Yeah, both Mondeos fast off the line, but back here up the back straight, it's Jim Richards' worst nightmare. He's got Brad Jones in front of him and the BMW that he wants to replace.
Yes, it's a nightmare for Jim, isn't it? They come down now to Goodyear turn through here.
See the cars biting in there. It's a very tight corner. Camera angle there, not showing actually how tight that corner is, and everybody having a little difficulty getting onto the main straight. But here, looking at the back window of the BMW, how close the Audi is. I think Brad Jones is even closer than he was in the last heat, and you see Jim Richards fading there, trying to pick a spot whether he can dive in on the inside. Nope, he elects to take it on the outside. He hasn't got enough steam to get by this duo in front of him yet.
Interesting stuff, isn't it? BOC Gases turn, now the left-hander, the run uphill. Morris just there, a bumper. Back then to Brad Jones, and less than that back to Jim Richards. This championship is going right down to the wire. We said in the preview to last week's program, it'll go to the last corner of the very last lap of the very last race. Richards runs 3rd in the Volvo dealer team S40.
Great screaming as they go off the back straight, Mike. You can hear that scream low, a little bit of oversteer there with Brad Jones. So Jim's starting to get the measure of the Audi, but this is going to be a difficult task.
Pit stop race this usually favours the Volvo team. They've been excellent in the pits. There's George Shepherd, team boss, riding along with Jimmy Richards, studies him across the line. He's running 3rd. That's not where he wants him, but there's plenty of laps left yet. As Morris works to the inside, Brad Jones thinks, well, all I can do is hang in here, and I don't want to open a gap up here for Richards.
Brad Jones doing the right thing. He's got a race to win if he can. Everybody wants to get onto the podium, so he's not letting Paul Morris out of his sights if he possibly can avoid it. And Jim Richards still working here now. He's got the zigzag up the back straight. Very quick here in the earlier races. Yes, he's picked up a little bit on Brad. Might try a run under brakes down in this bottom corner, but it's a very tight right-hander. Nope, has to go left. Come in on the inside. Can't get any closer than that.
How close is this? Now there's a little gap open up on the inside. Jim is quick up here. Yes! Got you! So Richards goes from third back to second, and Morris is the driver in front of him, and the pit stop's yet to come. Across the strike at Calder. Plenty of pit strategies in place for this race. Let's go down to Charles.
Mike, I've been talking to some of the teams about their pit strategy for this pit window. Now, the Volvo team plans to bring Jim Richards in immediately and McLean in a lap or two later. BMW's Paul Morris also intends to pit as soon as he can. Brad Jones in the Audi, however, he'll wait till the other two cars have already pitted, so expect him to come in 2 or 3 laps into the pit window.
Well, I think Charles's pit window's just closed, but thanks for that one. We'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses. In the meantime, Jim Richards chasing after Paul Morris on the back straight. Brad Jones back in third, Cameron McLean is fourth, Matt Coleman is fifth, and Peter Hills to sixth.
Yeah, Jimmy's got the smell of the BMW now. We've got a right-hander getting ready for the left. He's going to the left, and he's going to come through the center of the corner. Oh, Paul Morris misses his apex and fades to the left, gives Jim the chance, and here they are onto the main straight now. It'll be a drag race down into the bottom corner.
Side by side across the strike. Richards a wheel in front. Morris trying to fight back. There's no room here. You can't go on the outside. Brad Jones tries to close it up back on the inside, but this is going to be Richards' corner, and he takes the lead.
Jones is coming as well. Look at this. He's going to take the curb, giving Morris a real run for his money. Taillights went flying there in that scrap. So, Paul Morris into third spot. His nightmare starts to unfold. Jimmy in front. He's got the race in hand.
But you're right about that. It's an absolute nightmare, and that's probably as a result of the touch with Paul Morris from Brad Jones. Jones sitting back thinking, well, you got what you deserved there when you dived into the side of me. In the meantime, Cameron McLean is all of a sudden quite excited because he's got a chance here of being able to pick up Paul Morris before the pit stop.
Well, Paul will be really worried now. It's definitely starting to fade here. He doesn't know how long this wounded Audi is going to stay wounded. But the number 2 Volvo right on his bumper bar now, bearing in mind he must finish second with Richards out in front.
Morris at this stage back to third. So the scenario was 5 points the difference as they entered into this race, and it really needs Paul Morris to finish second to lock up the championship. Well, that's all going to be played out. In the meantime, let's go down to Charles Stewart in the pits.
Well, Mike, as this fascinating scenario in this last race unfolds, we see Brad Jones has made it up into second place, but at some cost, I think, Kim.
Yeah, we have a guard rubbing, but it appears to be getting better, so either it's wearing the rubber off the tyre or it's a front guard and the wheels pushed it back off the tyre.
Well, for our American friends listening, that's a front fender he's talking about.
Well, you'd understand that if you're watching the show on Speed Vision throughout the United States. As they come out of this turn, Aaron McGill in the Mondeo is trying to fend off Searle, and Searle is all over him like a cheap suit as they come downhill and work to zigzag lane through here. Now onto the back straight.
Well, Aaron McGill has run every championship race this year and has done well all season, but the second car, the black car in the hands of Luke Searle this weekend, 2 brothers who swapped from race meeting to race meeting, just giving the Mondeo a little bit of curry here at the moment.
Yes, it probably hasn't been the finest championship round for Aaron McGill. He's an extroverted character. He's got plenty of sponsors in the wings and spends a lot of time with them between races. So McGill across the line, number 9, the Trinovan Mondeo, and Searle still tails him down the front straight here at Calder to the right-hander. They're having a wonderful battle between the independents, as they always do, into the right-hander at the end of the front straight. Time to recap how the top 6 are running in this grand final of the BOC Gases Australian Super Touring Championship. It's Richards, Jones, Morris, McLean, Coleman and Hills. Don't touch that set. We'll be back in a tick. back here at Calder and the big BJ T-Mart, and Richards the leader over Jones, Morris, McLean, Coleman and Hills. We've been following Brad Jones around. That's where he nudged the front guard against Paul Morris a few laps back.
Still be a fairly nervous time for Brad Jones, seeing all that smoke coming off. He doesn't know how badly he's wearing that tyre, Mike.
Well, the pit stop window is now open. They nominate between what laps that the pit stops can actually commence. The word from Charles a little earlier was that Jim Richards will be the first one headed for the pits. We picked them up coming down the back straight. Richards is your race leader. Paul Morris back in third. Brad is just ahead of him as they come into the right-hander. Now it's across to the left, a short stab of the throttle, then back up into the right turn, and that brings them back onto the start-finishing straight. So start to look now for drivers to bail off for the pits, and here's the first one. Our race leader, Jimmy Richards, coming in. Speed zone in the pits. Jim has just entered the zone. It was pretty quick before then.
60k, 60 kilometers an hour, very, very slow. It really is a crawl. Very hard for drivers to do this, that they could feel like they can get out and walk faster.
Okay, we've got
one pit position.
Now change.
2 tires only, Mike. So naturally the front 2. Up in the air, 9 seconds. Nothing too flashy about this. 11 seconds. Oh, something's going on. Oh, the fellow, oh boy, have they blown this. 17, 18. He's still goodbye championship. 21 seconds. Oh, golly. Well, there's one mechanic that'll be the floor sweeper next week. 23 seconds.
23.320.
Absolutely pathetic. The fellow on the left front, he really murdered that for that team.
Okay, here comes Jimmy Richards back out of the pits, so he's dropped back to about 4th. Morris about to come in.
Long, long pit entry here, Mike. He can still go quite quickly, parallel with the main straight. The 60k mark. We got Cameron McCain right behind him.
Oh, almost rear-ended it.
Underestimated it. He just wasn't certain when Paul Morris was going to stop.
Can you imagine what would have happened if he touched Morris and put him out of the race and into the concrete wall? They've been on his head with hammers in the rival pit stop. Here's Cameron McLean coming in for his pit stop. That's the second of the Volvo S40s. And here comes Paul Morris.
Locked up there, that's okay. Those tires are coming off. The airline going in at the back to bring the onboard air jacks up. Off goes the left front, just throws it away. He doesn't care where that's going. Somebody else will pick it up.
This is methodical.
This is pretty good.
11.980, not bad. And keeping in mind, he lost most of his time getting into the pits. The run out for him was much quicker. Brad Jones, in the meantime, has taken over the lead in the championship race. But the important thing is that Morris is on the track and has track position over the 2 Volvos. And that could well prove the difference at race's end. There's Jimmy Richards, who had an appalling pit stop. Not the best race start either for Jim, so he's going to have to play catch-up between now and the rest of the race. And here comes our race leader, Brad Jones, into the pit in the Oryx Fleet Audi.
Well, it's a slow trip all the way down to the end of the pit lane. Mikey's got to go right down to the very end. It must seem like an eternity.
But he will be the first one out. It's a long way, Allan, and here they come. Timer ready to start. Just seeing whether or not the guard over on the left-hand side was creased over the wheel, but that comes off without any problems. Guy on this gun here is good. He's done.
Should be away now. Nope. Problem on the left-hand front, Mike. Big problems. Kim Jones is worried. He's saying to Brad, don't move. Come on. Another dreadful stop, mate. 21 seconds.
You'd think that the Volvo and the Audi teams unfortunately read from the same book of how to get the longest pit stop in a race. That's bad luck indeed for those 2 drivers. They had terrific track position and they've thrown it away through their pit stop. So Brad Jones rejoins the race in car number 1, the Oryx Audi.
John, probably the most crucial pit stop of the year. It didn't go quite as planned, did it?
No, one of the nuts got stuck in the gun, which can happen any time, but them's the brakes. You know, the last and the most important race of the series, and we had problems.
No, I can feel sorry for him too. You can hold the half-page ads for tomorrow, boys.
Well, here's our leader, Paul Morris, and he'll be breathing a sigh of relief. His potential third-place man that was harassing him is gone. Oh, speaking of gone, boy, that's what you call entry to a pit lane.
So here are the positions. Morris, McLean, Richards, Jones, Coleman and Hills. That's your top 6. Jimmy Richards third on the track at the moment. His teammate, Cameron McLean, ahead of him, but right at the head of the pack is Paul Morris, and that's a spot that Jim Richards doesn't want him to be in.
No, it's very hard to believe that after so many races it's gone so tight, And here we are in the closing laps that Paul Morris should feel almost secure.
Well, a problem with a lock nut on the Volvo is probably the best news that you've heard all day, Greg.
Yeah, it is a little bit of good news, but the race is still early, so we'll just see how we go for the rest of it.
So prophetic words there from Greg Worcester, team manager for Paul Morris Motorsport team. There's the gap. Morris looking back to Cameron McLean, and then Jim Richards, who runs third on the road in car number 3.
Yeah, well, the team manager is worried until the flag goes down, Mike, so we can't take anything away from Greg to be concerned. Anything can happen mechanically, no matter where the car is positioned.
I would expect that McLean will give Jim the right of a run down the inside of him to try and get back on the tail of the Paul Morris BMW 320. He hangs out here on the left-hand side, waiting for Jim to arrive and take him, and that's exactly what he does.
Good team driving, that's exactly what you're supposed to do when you're running shotgun to your leader.
So Morris lies ahead for Jim Richards, but really Richards needs to pass Morris and take McLean with him, and for Morris to finish third in order to win this championship. So it is going to go all the way to the wire in the last quarter of the last lap.
You can be sure of one thing, that BMW isn't going to allow that to happen without a fight, and I think at this very moment Paul Morris is pulling every ounce of energy out of his body and mind and soul to make sure that that doesn't happen, because he would still be very worried about the potential of, shall we say, a side swipe, a T-bone of some description, an inadvertent accident that takes him out of a championship.
So far he's looked pretty good. Here's Morris in amongst traffic. This is what Allan alluded to. Anthony Robson allows him down the inside. Searle is the next one. Morris continues on, puts the brakes on, and to his credit, Searle gives him racing room. Very sporting driving. Morris zips through there on the inside and lets them play rear gunners for him to the next corner, and that's going to hold up Cameron McLean, or Jim Richards I should say. And then there was Jim trying to get through. Searle didn't see him. He did the right thing by Morris, then all of a sudden found himself on the wrong side of the road.
Well, definitely Paul has got exactly on his mind what I've just described. He's making every millimetre count, and he wouldn't have bounced that curve if he was feeling comfortable. He can feel Jim coming down on him. He doesn't want to have to lose this race. It'd be awfully nice to get a checkered flag and take the win away from the Volvo team. And he is actually hammering the car. You can see the way it he thumped it into that corner. He took it right up over to the gravel, and he is definitely trying to stay away from Jim Richards.
Well, the two Volvos are giving chase after Paul Morris, as you would expect, and Jim's been able to wear him down in all the past races and get through to take the lead.
These two drivers have got absolutely nothing to lose now, Mike. They've got to go for it. They're going to pull every stop they can, and the BMW driver knows it, and he's off and running as fast as he can.
It's certainly been a fabulous season for the Super Tourers. I think the emergence of Patrick Watts in the early days and the Peugeot 406 winning around at Lakeside, and then Paul Morris with his electric starts and his gritty determination has played a major role in the championship, and the smoothness and the style and the sportsmanship of Jim Richards. So we've had many dimensions of this BOC Gases championship as it starts to wind down now.
Well, on a championship like this, Mike, where it's going to only be a question of 2 points one way or the other, you don't really lose it. You only come second, and I think no matter who takes the flag here today, both teams can be very proud of their drivers and of their teams.
Heading down the straight again, Morris, your leader, lap 19 of 27. Richards in second, McLean is next, followed by Jones, Coleman, and Peter Hill's in sixth place. Here are the two Audis into turn number 1 at the end of the front straight. Brad Jones
still giving it hell. He's giving it everything he could. I suppose he feels he'd like to try and redeem that bad pit stop on behalf of the team. It wasn't his bad pit stop. He had to sit there and wait while it all unfolded. But Brad's saying, well, I've got nothing to lose either other than try to get a better position.
Matthew Coleman, who has been an able rear gunner for Brad Jones all season, a driver who's developed. You saw the feature piece on him earlier in the show, and he deserves to have a round win. It's not going to come here today, maybe a little in the future. So Brad Jones, car number 1, and Matthew Coleman head down to the end of the back straight at Calder, and now come onto the start finishing straight, the drag strip straight, here at the 2 kilometre circuit just outside of Melbourne.
So here comes Richards. He's definitely not going to say goodbye to this. He's going to let Paul Morris know he can still do it. He really has regained a lot of time to get back up onto the back. Ooh, look at that. Just missed him there over the crest of the hill now. I don't think he can take it this time.
He's certainly going to give it a try. Here comes Richards storming after the lead, and Paul Morris is just there as they work the back straight. Richards has the inside, so I think Morris is going to give him the corner. No, he's not. He hangs in there.
No, thank you, Mike. He said, to hell with you. I'm going to keep it as long as I can.
It might well be this corner. Look for Richards. Goes in wide. Tries to tuck it back on the inside. And this is where he's passed him 3 times today. Make that 4 as he comes out of the corner. So Richards coming up on the inside of Morris, and they race it out door handle to door handle down the front straight away. Richards has got the line for the next turn, and he's going to go in here under brakes and make sure that Morris stays to the outside. And hopefully, if McLean is there, he can do something about it, but he's not.
Oh, beautiful bit of driving there by Jim Richards. He set the BMW up lap after lap and just got him where he wanted it, nice and safely at the end of the main straight. So through the S's, up onto the shelf, over the hill, and down into the kink.
There's the gap. Our race leader now, Jimmy Richards, car number 3, the Volvo S40. Paul Morris, he'd be happy with that. That's going to give him the championship if they stay as that for the finish of this event. McLean is back 1 spot behind them, and he's probably out by about 3 or 4 car lengths. There's Aaron McGill with some problems, and John Henderson just in front of him. So he's got a problem heading down into the right-hander.
Yes, doesn't look too good. A lot of smoke coming off the little Mondeo.
I don't know if he's dropping anything there or not, but he hasn't had the best of days. Probably his worst outing in the championship so far. Positions, lap 26 and 27. 1 to go. Richards, Morris, McLean, Jones, Coleman and Hills as they head into the right-hander. And coming is McLean in car number 4. He has just closed up, probably about 2 or 3 car lengths in the last half lap. McLean is on the move. Richards is in front, and the hand between the Volvo sandwich is Paul Morris looking for a championship win.
You can't make a mistake now. It's a championship at stake. He can smell the second Volvo on his tail.
And they work the back straight. They've gone through zigzag lane and head down to 2 turns away from the checkered flag. Richards has gone through, Morris is there, and Cameron McLean still closing.
He's going to have to work hard to get him here, though. I don't think Morris is going to have to worry too much, Mike.
You're right there. Time is out. They're starting to unfurl the checkered flag. And Volvo S40 heads out of the last corner. Checkered flag for Jim Richards and a championship for Paul Morris. Well done to both drivers. Seesaw battle throughout 1999. Jim's come up short by about 2. Morris will take the championship, and across the line, Cameron McLean will finish 3rd. Race 21 results. Richards the winner over Paul Morris. Cameron McLean, Brad Jones finished in 4th. 5th place went to Matthew Coleman in the 2nd of the Audis. 6th went to Peter Hills over John Henderson. Dean Canto was 8th, Anthony Robson 9th, and Luke Searle finished in 10th place. Back here at Calder Park Raceway, some rejoicing. Depends which team you're in, though. For Cameron McLean, that was a hell of a rear gunner's act to have to look after Jim today.
Yeah, I gave it everything I had in the last race there. You know, I haven't driven the car before in the dry at a race distance, and it was a bit of a learning curve. But I hung on to Paul. I just couldn't do it for the Volvo boys. A bit disappointing, but congratulations to Paul. He drove well.
Well done, Cameron. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Mike.
Jimmy Richards, he's still got a smile on his face. That's a year-long battle, all the way down to the last corner of the very last lap. Terrific racing.
No, it was great racing. I mean, Paul and I have had some fantastic races all year. I mean, yeah, there's been a little bit of this and that between us, but it's only purely because we both want to win. And I think Paul and his little team have done a fantastic job. Our team's done a great job as well. I think the difference obviously was probably Paul had 1 DNF, we had 2. Yeah. So it was that was about the difference.
When Brad Jones got involved in the draft early, I thought this is something you could sit back from.
Well, I was hoping that, I thought I won't try and pass these guys yet, because you never know, Brad might do something silly. I don't know, and I wasn't sort of, I could say too excited about it, but it would have been not bad.
Commiserations, Jim, but a deserving 2nd place, and you gave us some great thrills through 1999.
Thank you.
And to the victor of the spoils, the man who is the Australian champion for Super Touring for 1999, Paul Morris. Did you sweat that one out?
I did. I didn't know where I was. I came out on the track after the pits and I radioed to Greg and said, where are we? We're in first place. And then I just put my head down then.
You didn't think you had enough stick to be able to hold fast finishing, Jim?
No, really. I only had to finish second and that was our game plan. And if I had held Jim up, Cam would have caught up. So I had to let him go and then try and keep the speed up.
What went through your mind when you made a big lunge early in the race and all of a sudden Brad Jones nipped you?
Yeah, I didn't think he'd stick his nose in there, but he did. And I lost a place and I thought, well, we can get it back in the pits, and we did.
National champ, you deserve it. Congratulations.
Well done, Tall Paul. The BOC Gases title by 2 points over Jimmy Richards. Brad Jones finished third on 186. Matt Coleman was fourth on 156. Peter Hills fifth place on 109. Then it was Mark Adderton in sixth over Dean Cantor. Anthony Robson eighth. Ninth was Patrick Watts. And rounding out the 10 was John Henderson in the Opel Vectra. In the Manufacturers' Championship, congratulations Volvo 294 over Audi 261. Meanwhile, in the Teams Championship, Volvo Racing 407 has beaten Audi 397. Third was Team Mondeo, followed by Morris Motorsport, Racing Projects and TC Motorsport back in sixth. In the Independence Cup Championship, congratulations to Peter Hills. First and second place, he and Dean Canto. Anthony Robson third, Tony Newman finished fourth, David Auger was fifth. John Henderson sixth place, followed by Aaron McGill, Luke Searle, then the missing Patrick Watts, and rounding out the top 10 was Jim Cornish in the Nissan Primera.